The traditional Machzor, our holiday prayer book, has a line in it. It says, "Let the year end along with all of its curses, and let the new year begin abounding only in blessing." As we close the book on 5784, we acknowledge the alphabet of woe that besets us. Missiles launched at Israel from Iran, once in April, again yesterday. The shocking atrocities of October 7th, the plight of the hostages as we approach the one-year mark. A full 12 months of war as Israel seeks to defend itself against Iranian-backed terror, with hundreds of thousands still displaced from their homes in Israel's south and Israel's north. And here at home, a rising tide of anti-Semitism that has unnerved us and disrupted our day-to-day routines, particularly for those families who have direct and indirect connections to life on campus. As if all of that was not enough, our own country is vulnerable during this presidential election season, when the differences between parties seems so stark, and we suffer from a desensitization to political violence percolating in our midst. In light of all these existential challenges, our bond with one another is more important than ever. On Friday morning, we will read the creation story as we acknowledge Rosh Hashanah as the birthday of the world. I learned recently from my colleague, Rabbi Jenny Solomon, about an often overlooked part of that text. Genesis 1, verses 9 and 10 notes that God said, "Let the water below the sky be yikavu, be gathered into one area, that the dry land may appear." And it was so, and God called the dry land earth, and God called the mikveh, the gathering of the waters, seas. And God saw that this was good. The verses refer to two related acts of gathering. And in both instances, the biblical author in the original Hebrew uses the root kuf vav he to denote the notion of coming together. What is remarkable is that that's the very same root, kuf vav he, which is the basis for the Hebrew word tikva, for hope. The biblical author was teaching us thousands of years ago that hope is created and sustained when we gather in community. There is strength in numbers, and there is friendship when we are together in good times and in bad, at the end of years that abounded in blessing, and also during years that seemed particularly colored by curses. I'm grateful to each and every one of you for being here tonight to help us create that sense of strength and community. And I want to acknowledge Matt Forgetson, Monica and Stephen Gordon, and the Weintraub family for agreeing to share their candid reflections about the past year and the different ways that they've been affected by what is going on in our world. They're part of a now long-standing custom in the congregation where we invite several families to share their stories on Erev Rosh Hashanah as a more personal way of entering into this holiday season. May their words be a powerful reminder that none of us is alone. No matter how difficult the events of this year have been, we are deeply connected and committed to one another. We walk the journey together, and in solidarity, we find tikva, hope. That sense of hope emerges not despite the challenges of the year that has passed, but precisely because of them. Sometimes it takes seasons of loss and suffering to help us realize that we are surrounded and animated by sources of strength that we never realized. The American Jewish poet Dane Cutler meditates on this possibility in her poem, which is called "The Shofar Breaks Your Heart." She writes, "When you give a girl a shofar, No, not a proper instrument of God, but a rough-cut horn with no real mouthpiece that her aunt brings back from a trip to Jerusalem. Don't make it easy. Put it up on the shelf in the living room where its curled promise of a shout will tempt her until she can reach it on tiptoe. Tell her no one has ever found its voice, that she will only make it grunt, bray, and sputter like the animal it came from, and then give her a few years. Give her an empty garage, and give her a neighborhood that is Jewish enough to understand what it's hearing so that she can practice until tiny tikkiot burst forth from the scrap of ram. And let her brag about this. Remember that children are not humble creatures, that the simple act of being heard is their great triumph. Let her be heard. Bring her to Hebrew school. Teach her the story of the rabbi who told his students that he would put the words of Torah on their hearts, that the words would only find their way in when the students' hearts broke. Let her sit with that tale for as long as it takes for her own heart to shatter, for Torah and poetry and forgiveness find their way inside. And play her some Leonard Cohen. Let him croon about the cracks in everything. That's how the light gets in. Let her begin searching for light. Ask her where she thinks the cracks come from. Give her Auschwitz and Torquemada. Give her pogrom and quota and blacklist, the ashes of all her burnt bridges. Give her Avinu Malkeinu, Ashamnu, 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 and watch her break her heart with her fist. Give her the shofar. Teach her after every blast you can hear the echo of the still small voice. If you listen for it, you can hear the calls for the wild cries they are. Salute them with a straight back when they yank you from your Amidah. And when it's over, close your eyes. Be broken here before God and your people. Be cracked. Feel the light and let the words come in.